Y'all know I love Reddit. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's educational. Sometimes it's like watching a raccoon operate a chainsaw, but today I am in the real estate corner of Reddit. I'm gonna react to some of the feeds and threads that I'm seeing, give you my honest opinion on it. I have not seen these before. I had someone go and scour Reddit to find these, so you're gonna get my honest reaction. Let's get into it. Okay, first one off the bat. This one comes from r/vent. It says, I actually despise being a homeowner. As a millennial, homeownership is out of the reach for most of my generation. However, through blood, sweat, and tears, I bought my condo all on my own, and it's been the worst decision of my life. I hate homeownership. When anything goes wrong, it costs thousands, not hundreds of dollars to get things fixed/replaced. My savings is gone, and yet random things keep effing up. My third year here and my mortgage is going up for the second year in a row. Also, my HOA keeps going up 10% each year. I know homeownership is a natural progression to economic success, but for 2 years, I've been in constant anxiety mode, thinking about what's going to fail next. One, to this user, I have a ton of empathy for, and I'm sorry that you're going through this. I have a couple of things, so I'm trying to narrow it down. One, I think homeownership isn't for everyone, and it's not for everyone at every season of your life. Renting is okay, and there's no shame in that. This is where I think more realtors need to advocate and to educate their buyers. You may be qualified for up to $300,000, but that doesn't mean that you're comfortable spending that, because taxes go up, your insurance goes up, all of those things. And if you're maxed out on your budget from the get-go, you're gonna have a hard time trying to maintain that. But I always like to go on the lower end of what you're pre-qualified for, just so that you can feel comfortable. You can still live a life that you like. You don't have anxiety like this user does, but you have some wiggle room where you're able to actually save some money. New construction right now is a really good way to go, just because builders are throwing out all the incentives. They're buying down your interest rate. They're giving you appliance packages. They're giving you closing costs. They're doing all of these things for you to buy a new construction. You're not draining it all getting into the house. Two, it helps when everything is brand new, so you don't have to worry about a HVAC system failing 2 years into homeownership, $15,000 renovation, or your oven not working or anything like that. Everything is brand new. You have warranties on it that come from the builder. I just think it's a safe, risk-avert way to go about homeownership right now. Okay, next one. This is from r/ask real estate agents. Realtor doesn't answer her phone, delaying home purchase. My husband and I have everything set to close on a house. Everything has been accepted on our end, and it's a dry closing. However, we have been waiting a week to get the keys because the seller's agent has been impossible to reach. A week? She provided my lender with 2 separate commission amounts, and they're trying to clarify which is correct, but she won't answer the phone or emails. This is an ongoing problem throughout the last 2 months, to a point where the seller was asking our agent to help with paperwork because he couldn't get a hold of his realtor. I'm not surprised by this, but it does hurt my heart. I always say, if you can't get a hold of your realtor, nobody else can. But that's super important. Answering my phone, answering my text messages, answering my emails is everything. I'm always doing those things. That disappoints me. That disappoints me for my industry. I hope, for the realtor's sake, that she's maybe having a medical emergency or something. I've been a part of that, where we couldn't get a hold of a buyer or seller, not the agent, but we couldn't get a hold of a buyer or seller, and they actually were hospitalized and just couldn't communicate the emergency. But yikes. Okay, this next one is a YouTube video.
I just really quick wanted to go over this new scam that's going around. We just got this sticky note on our door. Check this out. I actually thought this was a real handwritten.
Whose handwriting is that? That's
No, just from first glance, it looks like a handwritten note. Hey, I was driving by and had a quick
It's hard to read and it's not great penmanship.
About your property here. Please call me when you get a chance. They make it look all squiggly and messy.
Why would they not drop their business card or...
Stuff though looks real. Okay, and I call the number and check out what it is when I call the number.
Hey, this is Emily. I saw you reached out about the note. Totally fair question. I'm just here about the note in the property. Were you calling about a house you might consider selling?
Robot AI, they don't know how to make conversation.
This actually sounds like something we take a closer look at. I'll have Kristen reach out and go over it with you.
Want to do a follow-up video? If you guys want to see a follow-up video, comment below.
Okay, I have to give them A for marketing. That was kind of smart, but I feel like they could have invested a little bit more on the AI robot that answered the phone. I'm assuming that is not a realtor. I think that is a wholesaler that or investor that is just trying to find anyone's property to buy up. Okay, this one comes from r/real estate. I need to tactfully ask the seller's agent about the lowest price the seller would accept, or about the previously rejected offer. We saw a house in the neighborhood and I have been monitoring it for over a year. The seller's agent mentioned that someone made an offer and the seller didn't counter due to the offer being low. How can I tactfully ask the seller's agent about the previous offer, or what is an acceptable offer, or what an acceptable offer would look like? The house at asking price is above our budget. We have our own agent who wasn't present at the time of the conversation. Thanks in advance. This is the part about fiduciary that I want to talk about. I'm a listing agent. I'm on the seller side of things. I have a fiduciary responsibility to work in the best interest of my sellers. So if I'm putting on the hat as if I was the agent in this situation and you came up to me, I would not, without permission, written permission from my sellers, be able to disclose that information to you. If I asked my sellers, they said, yeah, you can disclose what that offer was, then I could. Also, an offer being too low, I see that people do that all the time. Like they'll call off of a sign and say, what's the lowest that the seller will take? Well, obviously that's not in my best interest because I'm working on behalf of the seller. It's not my best interest to tell you that information. What I do tell people, because this usually weeds out tire kickers from actual interested parties, is to write up an offer. When you write up an offer, I legally have to present it to my sellers. So when you write up an offer, it puts a little bit more seriousness behind your offer. And if it's too low, I am at a point now where I can counter it. We can start a conversation. Sellers take that more seriously when you have put in an offer, a written offer, instead of just saying how low will they take. I just tell them what it's currently listed at. And then I tell them if you want to write up an offer for a lower amount, I would be happy to present it to my sellers. Next one, this one's from r/real estate advice. $20,000 real estate or realtor commission for selling my home. Seriously considering for sale by owner. What do I need to know? I'm considering the route of selling my home in Indiana without an agent to avoid the $20K in commission to an agent. I wanted to get some insight around what the hardest part was. Was it pricing your home right, the legal paperwork, getting your home visible without MLS access, negotiating with buyers when offers came in? So on average, we know through the National Association of Realtors statistics, when you are going the for sale by owner route, on average, you're leaving about $65,000 on the table. Depending on your price point, realtor compensation, all of that, that's usually makes up for the commission. So it's gonna take you longer days on market to sell your home. You're gonna try to do it for sale by owner, and then you'll find out that it's not worth it. It's gonna take double the time, if not more. Then you're gonna be losing money, leaving money on the table. And then let's not forget that if you've missed out on legal paperwork and there's a lawsuit that gets slapped on your doorstep, well then now it really wasn't worth it because you have legal fees to pay for. So As a realtor, of course, I'm always going to advocate for using a professional for a professional service. Most people sell their home every 7 to 10 years. As realtors, we do this day in and day out. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, this one comes from Our Real Estate Advice. Found out our realtor was feeding us completely different stories than what the sellers were actually saying. Just closed on our house last week. During the final walkthrough, we got talking with the sellers and realized our agent had been telling us that they were pushing for a faster inspection timeline. Meanwhile, she was telling them that we were the ones requesting everything urgently. Wait. Why were the buyers and the sellers having a conversation during the final walkthrough before this is even closed? That's a red flag. Neither side was actually in a rush. She manufactured pressure on both ends, probably just to keep the deal moving forward and close her commission faster. That's what it sounds like. We signed everything, so it's done, but now I'm wondering if it's worth reporting or if it just gets swept under the rug. Does anyone actually file complaints with the state licensing board, and does anything come of it? One, that it also sounds to me like that agent was what I like to refer to lovingly as commission breath. So you'll find that there's some agents that are pushy, that do not have your best interest because they are trying to get a paycheck. They have commission breath. And you can tell, usually in the first interaction that you have with them, that they are not going to work on your best interest. They're going to work for their best interest, but disguise it as it's yours. We as realtors are not all the same. That's kind of the beauty and the scary part of real estate, is that you can find some real dirtbags and you can also find some really great agents. Luckily, I know tons of really great realtors in my area that I would trust if I was in the buying process and not a realtor myself. But like any profession, it just takes one bad apple. But as far as the second part, does anyone file complaints with the state licensing board, and does anything come of it? I think unless you have written documentation, this may be hard to pursue, but it is worth pursuing if that's what you feel like doing. But it's also worth calling your broker, calling that realtor's broker. A lot of people don't think about that. They don't think that because we're independent contractors, I technically don't have a boss, but my broker holds my license. And so they are going to hold me responsible for my ethics and my behavior, my morals, the way I do my business, because I would be a risk to them. So if I am not of good moral standing or I'm not serving people well, it's in their best interest to know that I'm doing that so that they can remove me from their office. So that's also a possibility. And also don't underestimate the price of a review, a thorough, honest review, not one that comes off as bashing and just, mean, but something that actually has depth and meat into it. But yeah, that sucks. Ugh, I hate that. Ooh, okay, those ones weren't so bad. I was expecting a little bit worse with Reddit, so these were pretty tame this time. If you have content that you see that you would love for me to react to, let me know. I am all ears. I love reaction videos. I love watching them personally. So if there is something that you would like me to see, please hit me up and send it to me, tag me in it, however you get it to me. And if you are thinking about buying or selling in the Central Texas area, I would love to chat. All of my info is in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.